Yo guys, my name is Legend and welcome to my YouTube channel. A lot of you guys have been asking me how do I make my R125 faster? There's a few ways you can do that, which I'm going to discuss in today's video. The first way on how to go faster is sell your R125 and buy a bigger bike. Now all jokes aside guys, I know some of us are limited to license restrictions. I was as well, so I know how it feels. A small little disclaimer though, modding your engine, working on your engine, will put more stress on it, decreasing the lifespan of your bike. I have two main methods that I found while researching this over the years, which we will get right into right now. So the two methods that I have found that work are engine swapping your R125 or doing a full build on your R125 engine. Before we get into it, a lot of people say it's not worth it because it's a lot of money. I'm not gonna pick a side. If you think it's worth it, then great, do it. If you don't, then just wait to get a bigger bike. Who am I to tell you what's worth it and what isn't? Let's get right into it. Engine swapping your R125. As some of you guys know, I had a Project R125 bike, and while taking that engine out, I noticed that there is not a lot of space. The frame of the R125 is built for the R125 engine. It's really narrow and you're not gonna fit anything much bigger in there. Now that being said, I saw a forum post about a year ago of a guy that swapped a WR250 engine into his R125. He swapped a WR250 Supermoto engine into his R125, which is a 250 single cylinder engine, because you're not gonna be able to fit anything more than one cylinder. It is 30 horsepower, so you're doubling your horsepower, and one of these engines can be picked up for in between 5 to 700 euros. The older models used carburetors and were air cooled, which means you can get rid of a lot of stuff that's under your bike, like the whole liquid cooling setup. The newer models, however, are liquid cooled and have injection. If you're gonna do a engine swap, you're gonna have to swap out the whole wiring loom, take out all of the wiring from the R125 and put a WR250 wiring harness in it. In my opinion, this is probably the best way of increasing power. It's a lot of work, don't get me wrong, but you're doubling the horsepower number and it's cheaper than the full build I'm gonna give you guys right now. So as I said, you also can go for the full build route. I did a lot of research on this over the years of owning my R125. Now I quickly want to say something. A big bore kit is a great way of adding power. A lot of people use the 180cc Molossi kit, which is a great kit, but for some reason everybody just uses a piggyback power commander or the Molossi Air Force, I think it's called, which is great. It adjusts the fueling to be correct with the big bore kit, and then people afterwards complain that their top speed hasn't increased. Well, that's because the stock ECU is limited, it's restricted. You're putting a bigger cylinder on it, increasing the displacement and increasing the power. You're adjusting the fuel, but you're keeping your factory limiter on your bike. So everybody that uses the big bore kit and a piggyback fuel controller is, in my opinion, wasting their money. Yeah, you're putting more power in it, you're gonna have more acceleration, more torque, but the top speed isn't gonna change much because you're still limiting yourself with the factory ECU. Buy an aftermarket ECU, a de-restricted ECU, and you're gonna have much better results. I made a video about the TuneBoss aftermarket ECU, and just the ECU itself on the stock engine did about 150 kilometers an hour. Let's get into the whole list. Now, the first mod I wanna stress are tires. Good tires is such a great performance mod. A lot of people overlook this because it doesn't give your bike more power, but tires are so important. The first thing you should do if you wanna upgrade your R125 is invest in a good set of tires. I might make a separate video on this because it's such an underrated mod. First things on the list, which are pretty obvious, is an exhaust. Now just the exhaust itself isn't gonna do a whole lot. It's not gonna make your bike magically faster, but it is gonna shave some weight off your bike I think my exhaust shaved between 5 and 8 kilograms off your bike, and trust me, it's noticeable when I was cornering. It also gives you a nice sound, and it's a good mod to support the rest of the mods that are following in this list. Because the more fuel and the more air you can get through your engine, the more power you're gonna make. The second mod on the list is a aftermarket air filter. You can get a sport filter which is less restrictive, thus increasing the airflow into the engine, thus increasing power. Now you're adding more air into your engine, you're also gonna add more fuel, which brings us to the next mod. An aftermarket ECU, a de-restricted ECU like the Tune Boss. Now a quick disclaimer, a lot of you guys asked me where I bought mine. It was a local store, but they stopped selling them. I'm not sure where you can get them here in Belgium anymore, but I'm sure if you look around you can still find them because they're really popular, especially in Asia. The Tune Boss ECU is 100% tunable through your phone. It uses Bluetooth, it's really simple. You can set your fuel table, you can set your spark table, you can choose your maximum RPMs, you can increase the RPMs the bike makes, thus increasing the power as well. I wouldn't suggest going overboard with it because that can destroy your engine, but bumping it up slightly is possible and will already give you a good result. Next on the list is a big bore kit. Now there are plenty of different ones out there, going from higher compression 125 kits to 150, 160, 180. And yes, something not a lot of people know, but the biggest big bore kit you can get for an R125 is a 200cc kit. Everybody seems to think that the Malossi 180 kit is biggest, or 181 I think it is, but I actually found a nice Japanese big bore kit that is 200cc by Naraku. At least I assume it's Japanese because of the name. This is the biggest big bore kit you can buy for the bike, increasing the displacement by 75 cc's. You will have to have the Tune Boss ECU for this because you definitely have to adjust your fueling, because otherwise it is not gonna work on the stock ECU. A really good complementary mod to the big bore kit is an aftermarket cylinder head with bigger valves. You can buy a aftermarket cylinder head by Naraku as well, with bigger intake and exhaust valves, which will in turn be able to get more fuel and air into the cylinder and out through the exhaust, increasing the power. Another really good complementary mod for the cylinder head is an aftermarket camshaft. A camshaft pushes your valves open. You can get a more aggressive one which pushes them further open. Now you added a noticeable amount of power to your bike. Now you can start playing around with different sprocket sizes. You can go up or down a few teeth, increase the top speed or the acceleration, whatever you prefer. I'm convinced when you do this whole list of mods, your R125 will be able to hit somewhere in between 160 to 170 kilometers an hour, which is really good for an R125. Now again, is it worth it or not? I'm not gonna judge. If you think it's worth it, then be my guest, go ahead. If you do, I'd love to see the results. If you don't think it's worth it, which I think most people don't, then just wait until you can buy something bigger. Either way, have fun and ride safe. If I had to choose between one of these two methods, I would go with the engine swap, just because it will double your horsepower and it's gonna be cheaper than a full build, but it's gonna be a lot more work, because with the full build you can just keep your wiring, keep your everything basically the same except for the engine, just putting a bigger cylinder on it, cylinder head, camshaft. So a lot of people asked me this, that's why I made this video. I hope this video sheds some light on your questions on how to make your R125 faster. This is the ultimate, the fastest, the most powerful you can make your R125. At least that's what I found. I've been researching this for a while now. I've had my R125 for 3 years. I was gonna do a few things on this list. I was gonna get the Tune Boss ECU, the exhaust, the K&M filter and a big bore kit, but sadly I cannot find a Tune Boss near me anymore because the shop stopped selling them. And I now have my CB250, which has 30 horsepower, so I'm gonna put the money I saved up for the R125 build into the CB250 to make that a nice bike. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please leave a like. If you have any other topics you want me to talk about, then let me know. I'll see you guys next time.